There's a lot going on. I leave for my secondment in just under a month and a half. It is 10 minutes past midnight UK time, which means that it's about 9 a.m. in Japan. I leave for my secondment in just over 7 weeks. I have never left the country. I've never lived in another country for longer than 2 weeks, like on holiday. So I'm not really sure how to go about this whole planning process. It feels very crazy right now. This doesn't feel very real. It's a bit wild. I'm wearing my top I got from Kyoto. Just as you know, a little reference to the fact that I'm in Japan. I'm in Japan. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of wild. It's kind of revolutionary, if I do say so myself. Anyway, stop being silly. And apologies for the background noise. The world didn't want to stop for me. I said world stop, but they just carried on. What can you do? I'm currently working as a trainee solicitor at a London-based law firm, and I explained in my previous video, this essentially means for 2 years I'm doing work experience in the law firm before I'm allowed to go out and practice law on my own. And we rotate within the firm 4 times. Because the company I work for is an international law firm, that means they have offices abroad. And that means sometimes we get lucky and we get a chance to work overseas in one of those offices. It's just the way that the cookie crumbled. I managed to get exactly what I wanted. Good morning. I'm on my way to work and I have T-minus 2 weeks until Japan. Certain things in Japan you have to book well in advance, and one of them is if you want to do the go-karting on the street, which obviously I want to do, and for that you need an international driver's license, as well as to get an international driver's license you need to have a driver's license. Luckily I do have that. Yeah, I knew it was worth it passing for a year and not getting a car so I can go-kart on the streets in Japan. So I've got a bag pack up like a sardine.
They have we in like a pack of sardine and we cannot escape, we cannot come out.
And I'm gonna head to the post office today and get my international driver's license. I still don't have a suitcase, by the way. Can you see my priorities? T-minus 2 days until I fly to Japan. Busy last few days. I fly on Saturdays, Thursday, and I'm just checking the customs rules. And listen to this exemption. Personal effects and unaccompanied baggage for personal use are free of duty and or tax within the allowance specified below. As for rice, the limit is 100 kg a year. Like, talk about a Japanese stereotype. They have a limit for rice in the security rules and customs. I am very much a lastminute.com babe. It's really bad and I am changing. I'm trying to change. It's taken me a while. I've always hated being late and not planning things properly, but at the same time I also love being spontaneous, and procrastination has really seeped its way into my personality. So those 4 traits don't really mix well together. It is my last night sleeping in my bed for the next 6 months. It's not even nighttime. It's 3 a.m. Jet lag isn't going to be real because I'm already messing up my sleep schedule. It all sort of like came to a head when it was the night before my flight. I hadn't packed. I'd bought suitcases. Some hadn't arrived. Some had arrived, but they weren't fit for purpose. They were really cheap quality, even though the price tag was not really cheap. And they'd also come scratched. So I was like, I'm going to have to now return these suitcases, go and buy new ones in case the ones that I've already bought don't come in time, and then also start packing for a 6-month trip. I wanted to say holiday, it's not. For a 6-month life thing. It ended up that I managed to get to the airport on time, but I missed my flight. I finally got to that stupid computer self-check-in thing, and this was me flying from Heathrow. I never flown from Heathrow before. And then I got to the screen and it was like, baggage closed 5 minutes ago. I said, you're lying. Your mom's a liar. You're not being truthful. I said, when the woman comes over, she's gonna fix it. The woman came over and she made it worse. I said, what do you mean I can't get on my flight? I can run. And she said, it's not about that. The gate won't let you in. Who's the gate? The gate is not physical. It's not gonna move. I will move it. But that didn't happen. Luckily, I managed to find someone who was able to help me, and I got a standby flight and I was able to fly out the same day. And thank the actual Lord that that happened. Otherwise, everything would have been a mess up. I love that woman. Was it Susan? She honestly saved my life. Managed to get onto my flight as a standby. I was the first one on board. That's how we do it when we're late. I was in a window seat. I was like, yeah, this is nice. I've never been on such a big plane before. Oh my gosh. Next thing I know, I started my period on the flight. Just a little bit of an FYI for those who haven't flown on like long haul flights before, they have period pads in the toilets for you. So don't worry. If you're ever caught out, you won't have to go without, which I didn't know at the time. The whole journey was just a bit of a mess up. So then when I actually landed in Japan, it was kind of like, I can't believe I'm here, but also like, can I restart the save and just go back and redo that mission, because I didn't get 100%. I don't even know if I passed. I just completed. You're already feeling like terrible choices have been made in your life. And they had.
I made it.
And even though this wasn't the best experience or the best way to start my trip, it laid the groundwork for me changing my last minute ways, especially because Japan runs on a system. If you want to do anything, you need a booking, you need a reservation. If you want to go anywhere, you have to sort of be on time. Though even that depends. Sometimes they be late, but you can't be late. Just know that. And I said this to myself from before I even flew out. This trip it has to be transformational. I can't go back as the same 25-year-old Drew as when I left, because that Drew needs to stay in the UK, and this new one she needs to upgrade. However, I do think I put a lot of pressure on myself, especially after making what I considered a grand mistake right at the beginning of moving here, to completely change all of my bad traits, swap them out for new ones. Only in 6 months, whilst I'm so far away from everything I've ever known, my comfort zones, my mother tongue, my own culture, it just wasn't gonna happen, was it? And I had to remind myself that it's okay to slow down. As much as, yes, I'm only here for 6 months, which in the grand scheme of things is not a long time, I don't have to change everything about me and go back being the best version of myself and haven't seen everything that there is to see in Japan, because believe you me, I have a list. It's just not possible. And it's okay to slow down and to just take things in their stride. It's a lot of pressure to put on yourself, especially when this isn't actually a 6-month holiday. I am here to work, contrary to popular belief. Populous being myself, I can't just spend the time meditating and just elevating myself. I have to earn my bread. So that's kind of where I'm at now. The first month was trying to realize that you can't do it all, but it's also okay. You don't have to do it all, because the country's not going anywhere. I might be, but I can also come back. I can carpe some of the DMs, and then the other DMs can remain uncarpied. It took me a while to get into that mindset, especially when I was working and the days were going so quickly. This month has flown by, and so far I have seen a huge change in my mentality. And I think all of the crazy things that has happened to me, like missing my flight, have an allergic reaction, and end up being rushed to the hospital. Oh Lord, that was an experience.
That's my charger. It's my ID. What the?
And then my brother came out and he was here very early on. It just worked out that that was the best time for him to fly out. In case you didn't know, we're just children with money. Going on a snow trip, like...
I'm eating snow. Oh my gosh. At least it's fresh. What the frick is Subway doing on a mountain?
And
pushing myself to try things that were a bit scary, but at the end I was so full of adrenaline and proud of myself. And as a snowboarder, if you're new, like, you're on your butt the whole time because you just keep falling. And the way I thought my ish was bruised, I couldn't sit down properly for a good month, and I had armor. I think the armor made it worse. Anyway, meeting some new people who have been really lovely and meeting some people who have not been so lovely, having like really short but sweet interactions with strangers, them forcing me out of my comfort zone, trying to be more brave. All of these experiences have come together to help me grow. And it's only been a month, so I'm just thinking how much more is on the cards for me in the next 5. And it's also scary that it's only 5 months. Like 6 months is really not a long time, and I don't like it because I could see myself here for so much longer. Also, I was really sad when my brother left, and that's the thing that everyone was telling me. When you have family that come out to visit you so early on, it delays the moment where you realize that you're on your own. And I had that moment. But it was lovely to share those beginning moments with him as well, and it's helped us come closer together in our adult years. Oh, it was a lovely time. I'm loving it. Like, spoiler alert, the first month has been good. It's also been very weird at times. I won't say difficult necessarily, but sometimes it's been difficult.
Just warned me that we're having an earthquake. First earthquake in Japan. I'm not really sure what to do. They said strong shaking is expected soon. Stay safe and calm. Well, my phone was literally bugging. I also have to get to work. Do I prioritize my health? Of course I do. But like, this is freaky. My house did shake a little bit, but we're okay. So I think I'm gonna head out. All of the experiences, the good and the bad, they've just helped me grow. Without meaning to come across as that toxic positivity person who just tries to find the silver lining in everything. I wasn't even trying to look at it through that lens. It was just happening because I was realizing the things I was taking for granted, or the things that I was allowing myself to just glide through when I was in my home space that I wasn't able to do here. Who would have thought this is exactly what I needed? Not that I was immature before, but I definitely wasn't pushing myself as hard as I could have. It's kind of forced me out of my comfort zone into adulthood. There's no set time limit on what I'm going to do next. And so having these last 6 months before that happens to me, living and experiencing something so new and on my own that's forcing me to grow up, has been a great experience. One culture shock. No night tube, no night bus, even on the weekend. One thing I said I was really excited about was to be able to walk out of my apartment at like 2 a.m. in the morning and go to a vending machine. It's basically 2. It's 1:16. What's this? Let me get home, child. CEO of running on no sleep.
I already noticed so many ways in which I am changing. I think I'm getting a lot more confident because I have to be. If you're here on your own, you're not going to have somebody who's automatically going to speak up for you, and I have to be self-reliant. When I'm going shopping and I don't know what the food is, I don't know where to find the things that I need to find. I'm having to take up that mantle in a different way that I would in just being a self-reliant adult in my home country. Funnily enough, it's giving me more confidence, as one might expect. So many new possibilities out there, and I've been enjoying it. And everybody should try and get a job where they can live in Japan specifically for 6 months. I think it's a great experience that everyone should have. I love travel. I think you learn so much about yourself that you wouldn't necessarily get if you just stayed in your comfort zone. So I'm not going to be a completely transformed new individual. There's going to be small signs of changes, and I can't wait to compare and see where I am when I'm finished. And I'm finished being a trainee. The real world starts. And you also realize that life doesn't have to be so defined, even when you do have those set time limits. It's kind of beautiful, but also very scary. I didn't even know if I was going to be able to find clothes in my size. And look at me, my new ninja top. I did it. It's DC and JP time, man. I'm excited. Anyway, I'm going to leave and go and explore my new town. I hope you all have an amazing April, and that you had an amazing March. I'll see you in my next one. Bye!
That's why we're doing this at 5 in the morning.
Yeah. Sugar rush. I told you, we're just children with money.